Let's attempt this again. I'm just
What were
gonna
you
not do anything else except sit here and talk.
um what
uh,
were you going to say before? Do you even remember what you're going to say?
nope. Was
You
a little
said and
mad.
try and then stopped cuz the crash.
Ah, try not to scream. Also, I was gonna ask you to turn your stream off.
Ah, gotcha.
Because my sleepy brain, high pitch yells are
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I understand.
affecting my head.
You don't you don't need to explain yourself. You ask me to do something, I'm going to do
Ah.
it.
I made a helmet in Blender.
Unfortunately for my computer, something's horribly wrong with the graphics drivers. I'm a maid, and it's perfectly related to my left screen where I keep my Discord. Every time I clicked on the Discord and someone was streaming, my displays would just do this funny reset, and I don't know why. Other than I think I need to figure out why it won't install the graphics update. And I hope to God it's not because my graphics card's damaged. Because I can't afford one. Problems, man. Problem after problem.
I don't think computers just compute.
Yeah, well, my computer's just computering by shutting off all my goddamn displays.
Yeah.
And then it cuts me out of things. And then OBS said encoder crash, and that's how I know it was a graphics card issue because my OBS is solely run on my graphics card for encoding purposes, not CPU related at all. I don't know, man. This has been a really frustrating problem.
Oh,
So I'm gonna have to
something's going on.
try to install those drivers again, I guess, at some point. Because the drivers failed to install earlier before stream, and my computer restarted. And then this happened. So I'm hoping that it was just your little oopsie daisy with the installation process. And not actually my graphics card taking a shit on me because it's not even that old.
Well, if I would probably just do a fresh install of the drivers when it asks you about it. I'll save your profile data. The So if you have to just do a normal quick install, that's fine. But I don't know if
Can't
you have any
afford
custom settings
computer
for it.
problems. It's my job.
Can find ways to fix those.
40 series cards are not fucking cheap, so I really hope it's not my card taking a shit. That's all. I hope it's
They will
just
be
some
soon.
stupid issue with, you know, the driver will just kind of had a hiccup or something, and it will totally install later. God, hopefully. So we might be cutting stream short today because I'm going to have to diagnose my fucking computer issue. Because being able to stream and click on Windows is kind of fucking important. Otherwise, I won't be able to switch Windows. So we'll figure out how to do that. Or whatever. Or maybe I should not hit the express install and I should hit the custom install or some shit. I don't know. My brain's running wild with what could be wrong.
Your motherboard in the BIOS, does it have any like AI clocking stuff?
That's forced to be at its normal clock speed and normal voltage. It's not
Even-
set to be
Even if
overclocked
it
automatically.
did, even if it did, that should not matter at all because it's been the same the entire time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's now
nothing
just getting
changed
into.
except an update for the graphics driver came out. Came out on the 12th, and that's when I started having like all these fucking graphics issues
Yeah.
after a Windows update as well.
hmm
So,
I had a Windows update that cut the clock speed on my RAM in half, and when I went into the BIOS, I enabled some AI clocking thing, and now I have full control over my RAM again. Sometimes BIOS things can change things.
Task
but-
Manager, Performance, Memory. Nope, it's running at full speed.
Hmm.
Yep, so it's not that. CPU, not that, because it's actually underclocked right now. Because the computer's not doing tasks really.
Mhm.
GPU, that is doing a lot of tasks. Video encoder, 3D is at 50 something percent. It's not even using barely any of its GPU memory. It's only at 3 gigs. The temp's only 54. Which is normal for my graphics card to just be chilling
Mhm.
at 54. That temp doesn't really change that much. So no, I don't see any clocking issues. Do I have my MSI Afterburner? Did that accidentally overclock my GPU? Because I have an overclock edition. Didn't quite think about that. Wait, where did my MSI Afterburner go? Oh no, there it is. Diagnosing computer problem! Woo! Let me see. Its temp limit's at 84. Its fan speeds are being controlled. They're only at 60%. None of it's overclocked right now. So I think it might just be the update. Also, this is way more accurate. This says it's only at 47 Celsius. So I don't know. Something ain't right. I have a feeling it's just the driver update. Because this happens usually when driver updates are required for my computer. Except they normally install. This one did not. So, we'll have to most likely cut the stream short tonight to fix my computer. Whatever I have to do to get this thing to install things correctly. Oh, wait. Amp? Would it have
Yes,
would the launcher of GeForce be important? Because it needed me to install a new one, and I kind of said no, and then tried to install my new driver.
Okay.
Would that
I have.
affect
You mean
anything?
GeForce Experience? You mean GeForce Experience?
Yeah.
I have GeForce Experience. You don't need GeForce Experience. You can manually download the updates for the drivers.
Yeah,
However,
but that's
I
what
would
I normally
recommend
use.
having
Ow.
it. I would recommend having it so you can go
Ow.
in there. Well, the NVIDIA app or GeForce Experience. Not gonna upgrade
Ow.
to the NVIDIA app now. But I
Oh, it's an app they're trying to give me?
well, if it's GeForce Experience, that's the one I
Yeah.
use. It's an application on the computer. They have a new
An
app, I
app.
guess the NVIDIA app,
And it
their new
says
one. I guess it's
upgrade.
I clicked not now.
Yeah, that's what I did.
The but do
Yes,
you have normal GeForce
Arcane!
Experience?
I'm getting beat up.
Do you have normal
Oh, Mia's in there
GeForce
also
Experience?
doing that. I have the normal GeForce experience.
That's fine. You
My
don't need the new
Steel
NVIDIA
series
app.
did an update apparently.
And you were just
The
getting
Now
driver
everything I'm getting pelted with everything. My
I'm
chat.
gonna put it inside chat. This is the I'm that's the driver I'm running on. I'll do some let me do some looking and see if the newest driver that was released 3 days ago, I'm gonna see if that driver version is stable for use.
You're
I'm
running on a
using
driver that was way earlier this year?
Yes.
Why?
When there's there's not too much reason to upgrade your graphics card drivers as the updates
I
come
need
out
to,
for
apparently.
I hold on. The reason I say that is because all that's really added is game support. Like there's specific, NVIDIA tweaking stuff. Um I'll see what, forums say about NVIDIA driver 566.
Well, this happened like literally a few days ago, right when the driver update was available.
Have you tried just going back to the old driver?
It is still
She hasn't
running.
updated
It
yet.
didn't even update to the new driver. The computer restarted in the middle of the update.
Just have you tried just reinstalling GeForce Experience and then redoing the driver update?
I have a reinstall drivers up thing I can do. Because maybe it's a conflicting driver thing where it doesn't want to overwrite.
Back when my internet was being super arse,
Ow.
I tried to do an update and it ended up failing halfway between the update.
Yep, that's
and
what mine did.
And then I couldn't install the new update, and my drivers started acting really funky, and so I just reinstalled GeForce Experience, and that
Quick
allowed me
question,
to
Jai.
redo the update.
Are you running Windows 10?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Because there are some Windows 11 issues. Like looking at this just for shits and
Lovely. That's
giggles,
why I'm not
say-
on Windows 11. I'm gonna wait
Well,
until
hold
they
on.
force me to go to that shit.
So the only reason why I'm bringing this up, is if Windows Update did an update recently, it could have a similar issue on Windows 10. I don't know if they're still updating Windows 10.
That update was applied last night, but the issue was before that update.
Okay. The only reason why I say it is because in the notes here, Windows 11 24H2 Alt Tab black screen is a Microsoft issue fixed in a specific update, and then Windows 11 24H2 on some systems have crashes when launching games, stutter issues, RTSS related crashes, exclusive full screen game alt tab issues, and crashes with overlays enabled in games.
Wow, that
So
sounds like a whole lot of problem.
yeah, that's why I'm running Windows 10. But most people wouldn't know about these issues if they like. I'm not. The reason why I'm running that game driver is because that is a provably stable, really good driver. That's why I'm using it. It's a recommended
Yeah, but I
driver.
play too many of the new games.
Yeah. This section contains issues not officially acknowledged by NVIDIA but are recorded across multiple forums. GeForce RTX 40 series GPU, stability slash TDR slash black screen issues. Check for a motherboard BIOS update that states compatibility updates for Lovelace. The motherboard update is in addition to any GPU VBIOS update. So I'm gonna
I don't know how
take
to
this little
fucking look
thing.
up that shit. What?
Okay, so
BIOS.
do you know what motherboard you have?
Yeah, I know what motherboard I have.
You
I
go
mean,
to
it's
your
also
motherboard
listed on my channel.
you go to your motherboard manufacturer's website and you see if there's a new hold on. I'll look it up for you and find it. Give me a second.
Yeah, that would help. Because I have a feeling if I open enough windows, my graphics card will just crash again, and then we'll have a
Alright.
lovely me getting frustrated
I got it.
moment of time.
Mhm.
Accept support firmware BIOS. Okay, so there's nothing new.
So mine is up to date.
MPG wait, what? Is that what I put in? Oh, Z590. Okay, cool. Driver. Those are Intel chipset drivers.
Sure
Yeah,
are.
the most recent driver update was
In
uh,
August.
in August. Yeah, August 9th
Of this
My brain-
year?
of this year.
Mhm.
Okay, I haven't updated this since I built this computer last
Well,
year.
here you go. Give me a second.
How do I install that?
You just download it and in Device Manager, I believe. Should be able to install it or update the drivers for your motherboard through Device Manager.
Works!
Hold on.
You okay?
Yes. Yep, got
Probably
scared by dicks
upstairs.
again. It's very loud. I keep forgetting to turn the volume down.
Local fox scared by dicks.
Like, dicks are scary sometimes.
They are, especially when they yell it in your ear and your volume's at like 100%.
Loud and intrusive. Sounds like dicks.
Yup. Jazel, I'm having computer trouble. This stinks. Again?
Yeah.
Yes. Again.
you click
My
on-
displays keep crashing.
So you download the driver and then you go into Device Manager and it's under firmware and then system firmware and you just update driver.
I'm not gonna
Right-click
hit a couple
Hmm?
$1,000 worth of computer over here. That would be a horrible idea.
Hmm.
What was that, Mia?
So did has AMP sent you the link for the update?
Yeah, but installing things right now during stream might be a not smart idea.
I
Because
mean,
if the
Yeah.
computer has to restart, then I'm gonna have to turn the stream off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Consider
Not
it
right now.
thought for after.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
which
Yeah,
I
I think-
probably won't be streaming too long because I kind of need to fix this computer, which stinks because it's Friday and I was looking forward to Friday and Saturday.
Mhm. But if it is that driver, it's a simple fix.
If it's a motherboard driver, I would love for it to just be fixed.
I mean-
Because this is pretty frustrating, man. You click on a Discord that has a stream playing, and then your displays all crash. So what it does is I click on the left screen on the Discord where Amp was streaming earlier. This has happened 3 times when me clicking on Amp stream now. It'll start by just freezing everything. And then it will turn off the left screen, the right screen, the middle screen, and then it will sit there for a few minutes, and then it will turn them all back on. And depending how nice it wants to be, I'll either have my taskbar or I won't have any taskbar, and it's displaying only partial parts of the entire app that I have. For instance, on my OBS, only chat window and the main window were showing. The actual audio mixer, sources, scenes, stream information, Twitch stats, all of that was black. I had no taskbar. I had to actually use the Windows key on my keyboard to even open the menu to restart my computer. And yeah, that's what happened just earlier.
Mhm.
And it's
Actually,
like
yeah,
it
that's-
completely disconnects my shit because it redoes my audio to my TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do
Mhm.
with it. It happens every time I'm streaming. I mean, someone's streaming, and not when I'm streaming. This is the first time it happened while I was streaming.
We're
But it
screaming.
happens every time when someone's streaming in Discord, and I go to click on, watch stream, or sometimes it's just me clicking on the window of their stream. So I don't know what happens.
Mhm.
And then the graphics drivers failing to install was nice too. Halfway through just crashing. That was cool. We
Mhm.
love that.
Of course.
We
of
love
course.
that. So yeah, I don't think stream's gonna be running all that long tonight because I think I'm gonna be spending a good portion of my time fixing it. The computer. Yes. Rip. Rip indeed. Yes. Unfortunately.
Pepperoni and cheeses.
Well, because I would rather fix it and stream early tonight and fix the problem than have it continue to be a problem for tomorrow.
We love troubleshooting.
Mhm.
Favorite activity.
Sure do. My computer's done this in the past with different versions of my computer. Like when I had the 2060 Super, same style display crash. Did my updates, everything was fine.
Fancy pants over here running a 2060. I'm stuck.
What do you
60
mean?
Super.
That was my
My s-
old computer. My new one's a
Oh.
4070 Ti.
Oh, sorry. Let me put more emphasis in it. Miss Fancy Pants over here running a fucking 40, whatever the fuck you said. I'm over here chugging with the 1660. That's probably on the verge of becoming a frag grenade.
I only just upgraded from a 1070 last year.
And what are you at now?
A 3080.
God damn it.
Everybody's upgrading their shit except you.
Yeah, well, it's either gonna be maybe going to MFF or upgrading my computer, and it's a really hard decision.
I would
Honestly,
probably
would just choose
recommend upgrading
computer.
the computer.
Oh, but MFF.
Well,
I always
that's
wanted to go to
cool
a
and all.
con.
That's cool and all, but there's cons in your area you
Pros
can
and
go to
cons.
next year.
Yeah.
Like TFF.
Alright, and like I don't mind traveling out to go to a con. It's just like people.
I mean,
I don't know.
hey,
But yeah, right.
you
Maybe
gotta-
my computer's probably a little bit more important.
just remember.
Yeah, because you
if
use
you're gonna
that thing every day.
Pretty much.
Sliss, if I was you,
Aye.
I'd probably go to MFF because after MFF, the 50 series is dropping, which means that cards like my 3080 will drop down a little bit in price.
Yeah, did you see the pricing on 50 series cards?
No.
You don't want to
Yeah.
see.
Is it the size of a console again? Are they still fucking huge?
Yes. Well, the 5090 is said rumored to be 3 times more powerful than the 4090.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck are these people doing with their computers that they need shit like this?
Rendering.
A lot.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, rendering. I move something in Substance Painter and it all becomes pixels.
That's the main reason why I went from a 1070 to a 3080. That, and because I had to backwind my 1070 on Substance Painter and drivers updates because
They're
back then I was
estimating.
using 2020 Substance Painter because I refused to adopt the Adobe bullshit, and they outdated, or they stopped doing driver updates. So
I will.
They-
If I'm gonna do anything, it's gonna be getting a whole new computer.
Sliss.
Hi.
don't
The
do that.
5070 will be approximately $600 to $800. The 5080 is going to be approximately $1,200 to $1,500, but that's not all. The best of the best one, the 5090, is going to be $2,500. So if you want to go buy a used car or buy a GPU, you have options.
Wow. It's almost a house payment.
Hmm.
I think I can
don't know,
hear
I'll
the
just
tears
keep
drop
saving my
after
money.
that.
But I'd just recommend upgrading bit by bits in computers because most of the stuff just works with itself.
Jimmy's right. I
Like-
could just buy a whole new computer with a 4080 in it for the price of a 50, whatever the fuck.
But I've replaced every single part of my computer to the point that I rebuilt my old computer again using all the parts that I'd removed from my current one.
Hey, do you guys know how Pale World is being sued by Nintendo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, Pale World's the #1 most played game on the PS5.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd be worried if it was Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so basically that lawsuit isn't really making people not want to play the game. I think it's just making them play it more out of spite against Nintendo.
Oh, definitely.
From my understanding, the case they tried presenting was that they were placing a patent on the use of balls specifically.
Yes,
And
the
capturing methods.
throwing and capturing
Yeah.
of a. I mean, okay, that means
Not really
all the
Monopoly, I
other
feel like.
games that have this concept are also going to have problems because Nintendo thinks they're the bestest around.
Power World
I
could just
like
fix it by switching the
So-
cubes, and it would be funny.
Actually, no, it wouldn't fix it because it is not throwing and capturing. It is throwing any item in a game.
Oh,
I've read the patent.
to capture something or just
Oh!
throwing an
No,
item?
Just throwing an
in a
item. Oh,
Fucking
so
what?
like
That is the patent.
so
It is
so
throwing an item.
Zelda and every other game that
Zelda's owned by Nintendo.
exists.
Literally
no.
any fucking game that you can throw something in.
All right, how about not Nintendo games? Throwing a grenade in Call of Duty.
Illegal, according to that patent.
Wow.
Bro, what are
So
they smoking
what
in Japan?
Nintendo? So what what Nintendo
That's
just
why
did?
everyone's like they've got nothing.
So what Nintendo just did, if that's going to be their patent, they're gonna defend that shit. Is how many AAA
And-
companies are gonna stand up against this one singular company over that
And-
patent?
Oh, shy, it gets better. That patent wasn't filed for until May of 2024 and did not get approved until August of 2024. Palworld came out in December of 2023.
Yeah, so
or
that
January
wouldn't have
2024.
mattered.
So that patent is
They just
being
found a
enabled
reason to sue them.
retroactively.
They just needed a reason to fucking go after Palworld because they couldn't find any other reason.
Literally. And apparently
Mhm.
Nintendo has a lot of patents like this that they just what they want, they don't expect to win. They want to bury Palworld, which is or Pocket Pair, which is a
Very small
independent
game.
developer, small game company. They want to bury it in legal fees so it can no longer work on its game. They want to basically
Well,
sue them out of
it's- it-
existence.
it's not working because it's the number
No,
one
is
most
it?
played game on PlayStation 5 in Japan.
Everyone is turning against it and taking a Pocket Pair's side. In fact, I just pulled up the news on it from very recently.
Yeah.
Forbes magazine calls the lawsuit absurd. An expert says that it's a clear case of bullying.
Yeah.
Everyone
We're
is like, "This is
jealous."
fucking ridiculous.
We're
because
jealous
even
that
though-
your game's doing good and our fucking games we've been making 5,000 versions of isn't doing as good as your game. How dare you?
And the thing
Bully
is, yeah,
time.
some of the things look similar to Pokemon, but they are very clearly different. You can compare them side by side and see the very clear differences. And they don't have the monopoly on silly looking monsters. One of the original Pokemon is literally a sentient Pokeball. I'm a longtime Pokemon friend. Or yeah, and what Binary said. I'm a longtime Pokemon
Maybe
fan.
if
and
they made an optimized console with good games,
Well, and
they'd do better.
Here's the other thing, Binary. Because I love both Palworld and Pokemon. Palworld lets you have your pals
What?
out and about where you can interact with them. You can pet every single pal.
You can
that
pet,
exists.
you can treat them for wounds, you can have them help
You can
you
just have them
around.
running
Just
alongside you.
you can use them as like in transportation.
Yeah.
There's a
and-
lot you
All
can
the
do with
things
them.
everyone's wanted from Pokemon.
Yeah,
that
that's literally why
Pokemon
it's so
didn't
popular.
do.
I was so happy in Heart Gold when they allowed you to have one Pokemon companion follower.
Following you, yeah. It was like, whoa, this is so cool and changed, and then they got rid of it.
And
Yep.
on top of that,
I'll be right back. I'll hear you
the-
guys, but I'll be right back.
okie doke. On top of that, because I've played far enough into it to know this, if you have one that's a particular favorite, the pals level alongside you, so you can literally and you can teach them pretty much any move you want if you find the right skill fruit. You can literally
Rex!
take the same pal with you the whole time and have it be your actual companion alongside you the whole time.
Son
Which I
of
know
a
you can do that
bitch,
in
you almost
Pokemon,
made me drop my
but-
brownie.
That's what I'm hearing is we could just start a Palworld server.
Okay, so wait.
I
you're
had a
Okay.
gonna
Pal
go
World server,
free?
but nobody really wanted to play on it, and I couldn't afford
Okay,
to
wait.
keep it up on my own.
Oh,
It
you have to
did
pay. Oh, it's
get-
like Arc. We have to pay for a server. Never mind.
They did it did get more ridiculous. There's 3 patents that were violated, and they're ones that most people would have no idea Nintendo owns. So the first patent is about aiming and firing some sort of item toward a character in a field. It literally specifies that, triggering a
In a
combat
field.
state. So yeah,
Okay.
Call of Duty would count. Any game where you throw a grenade would count. The second is about being able to capture creatures in the wild rather than just in a battle setting. Which again, there's so many games that applies to. The third patent is about riding creatures in an open world and transitioning between those creatures. There's so many games that all of these apply to.
Why do people
Is it Arc
patent
like that?
simple ideas? Yeah, I don't understand why we gotta like. Yeah, never mind. Corpo bad. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's Nintendo. They have been assholes for a very long time.
Yeah, and the thing is this is so majorly tarnishing Nintendo's reputation. If they had left it
Yup.
alone or had tried to buy Pocket Pair out or had even just, shown support, they would be sitting pretty. They're not sitting pretty. They're getting
If they
worse.
partnered with them, they could have fucking made a lot of money.
And now they're making less money because this has pissed people off, including people like me who love Pokemon. I'm irritated as shit at Nintendo.
I have a theory, a game theory, if you will.
Oh god,
Oh
no.
boy. Oh god.
I think if Pokemon had bought, I don't remember the name of the studio that did Pal World. You just said
Pocket
it, and
Pair.
it
If
slipped my mind.
Nintendo
Pocket
had bought
Pair.
Pocket
That
Pair,
one. Or partnered with, they would have ran it into the fucking ground.
oh no, I guarantee you they would have, but I'm just saying from a corporate standpoint, the message they're sending is we will be dicks and we will step on whoever we want, and that doesn't bode well for them.
No.
We love corporations.
I won't be surprised if other AAA companies that these patents would affect would all stand up against Nintendo, supporting, well, Pocket Pair, because those are really stupid patents.
Well, and they're patents that should not hold in the United States because they are, like Sliss said, monopoly patents.
Uh-huh.
It's like putting a patent on the word candy that the makers of Candy Crush tried to do and were not successful with.
It's crazy.
Well, unfortunately, I think Pocket Pair is in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the problem,
Unfortunately.
is that Pocket Pair and Nintendo are both Japanese-based companies. I think they're both based out of... They might both be based out of Tokyo, or one is in Tokyo and one is in Kyoto. I don't remember, but they're both in Japan, so it's being held by the Japanese legal system, and the Japanese legal system does not work the same way or even similarly. I don't actually have details on how they work.
For example, this isn't the first time that they've done this. I don't know any of the other cases off the top of my head.
Oh no,
But I know this isn't
Nintendo
the
only
first time
does
they've
this when
done
they have a
this.
point to prove.
Nintendo has never lost a lawsuit in Japan, to my knowledge.
No, I don't think they
No,
have,
they are.
but this isn't the first time. Nintendo only does this, and they're asking for a very low amount. So they're either just trying to trap them in legal fees and stall development, or they're just trying to send a message. They're only demanding roughly $65 million in damages, which is not much.
What damages?
Intellectual property patent violation damages.
Oh, being butthurt. Got it.
Yes,
Um,
basically.
When you say a small amount and you said 65 million, I was like,
That
ah!
part,
Yeah, me too.
In the scope of game development, when Nintendo could demand billions, that is a tiny amount.
True.
65
sounds like
million for
such a
going
big
ouch my
app.
feelies.
So
These are people who have more money than they know what to do with, at least Nintendo. In terms of gaming sphere, 65 million is chump change.
Oh wait, I just realized you can sue people for defamation. I forgot that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I just heard some.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you sure, Jazel? Because I literally just read that it was 65 million.
Yen to US dollars, maybe.
It says. No, it's 66. I'm sorry. It is not million. It's 66,000 USD. I apologize. It is not 25K. It is 66K.
Oh,
But it is
It's
10 million yen.
66,000.
okay, that is significantly small.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is-
that's
I
way
misread.
smaller.
I apologize. It is 66,000. Yes. I misread. My apologies. We all know I cannot read.
I'm gonna laugh
That's
if Bakapair pays it off and goes,
Yeah, it's
"Don't
about
ever try to
65K in
sue us
damages.
again."
Yeah, it went up. It went up because initially they were suing over the patent of throwing things. Now they've added 2 more patents to the list that they're asking for compensation, and the Palworld developers are the ones who have reported what the patents are.
That's because Nintendo doesn't like to announce their bullshit.
But legally they have to provide it, I think.
Yep.
I guess
Upon
their
being
legal system
asked.
must be very different, like extremely different out there. Because usually, if you're in the middle of a lawsuit, both sides can't say anything. But if they're just like, "This is what we were suing you for," and then
Ooh, I have
Power's
the
like, "Hey,
patent
this is what
numbers.
they're suing us for."
Hold on, I have the patent numbers. I can literally look up when they were. Oh, this gets better. Cause perform field in virtual space. In first mode, the aiming direction is based on blah blah blah, basically throwing an object in a game. So that's the one that got approved. In August.
This is entertaining because I love how everything changed. Hey, Monty.
Everything changed. The Fire Nation's here.
Hold on, I'm eating a brownie.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, can I have this patent? The second patent.
Palworld.
The second patent was published in May of this year, which is specifically simulating properties, behavior, or motion of objects in the game world, e.g., computing tire load in a car race game using determination of contact between game characters or objects to avoid. Hold on, there's a lot.
It's a lot of words.
Palworld first came out. All the Pokemon fans. This game is a ripoff. Future Palworld. All the Pokemon fans. We support you.
And then they played and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome. We don't care. The designs are almost too similar. Almost."
They borrowed some features from certain ones, but the models are in fact modeled differently than the original Pokemon models.
Yeah,
they are not ripped models.
That was the thing that made me giggle about it.
They are technically different enough to be
distinguished as being different
original.
model.
You could claim that they were inspired by or influenced by, which is totally fine, but not that they are direct copies.
Like Call of Duty. They have an AK-50. One of the developers most likely was just chilling on the internet looking up for inspiration for guns. Saw Brandon Herrera's AK-50 just all over the internet because it's not like his channel's small.
Not
and
anymore.
They're like, we're gonna model that, and that's what they did. And he was like, he's like, I wish they asked, but like, I would have been like, oh hell yeah, fucking put my gun in the game. That would be dope.
Yeah, then it could have been like 1-to-1 specs, and that would have been awesome.
Yeah, he's like, I would have gave them like the design like everything to work on.
Having looked through all 3 patents, just cursory information, because I don't care about the legalese wording. All of them,
Legalese.
yes, the legal wording that's being translated from Japanese legal wording to English legal wording, so I don't even
Legal.
give a
Yes.
fuck.
I'm remembering legalese.
You should. All of them were filed after Pal World came out this year. The first application one of them was filed on August 30th of this year, February 26th of this year, and March 5th of this year, and they were all published within the last. Well, okay, one was published in September, one in May, at the end of May, and one at the beginning
Bless you.
of September.
It was a
No, at the
hiccup.
beginning of August. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
One was applied for at the end of July. So they're all from
So it
this
was a
year.
Yeah, I said bless you.
How is it? What? I'm
What?
confused. How is that
Huh?
a bless you?
Just listen to Lily.
They are all
I'm
all the patents
listening.
were filed this year after the game came out, and Pal World has been in development and publicly been in development for 8 years.
Yes,
Hey, what
because
the
they're
fuck?
they're the original they're the same creators of Craftopia, which was their prior game. Which my fox model's in, and so is my cat model, and a bunch of other my models are in there for use.
So Power World came out. Nintendo sat and was like, "What do we do about it?" Made a bunch of patents and are now suing for the patents that they just made to sue Power World.
Yes,
Yep.
basically.
Fucking
and they
what?
didn't make the patents until the game was popular, because the game was very quickly very popular within a couple months of its release. And that was quote unquote infringing on their profits, because only Nintendo can make cute pocket creatures that you have battle for you. Nintendo Digimon called. I'm pretty sure Digimon is owned by
Gotcha
Nintendo.
called before then, yeah.
I missed
That's the
Digimon
thing,
a
both-
lot.
Digimon is in fact
Digimon is old.
Yeah.
it is,
Digimon
but
is. It was based on an original run of Gotcha Pets. Like, both of them stemmed from
Digimon
that.
is
So they
not Nintendo, and Digimon is literally the same kind of thing as Pokemon, just in terms of cute creatures that fight for you. I'm aware how you obtain them is different. Please don't
Binary
at me.
Pokemon might have came first, but Digimon had a better show, and that's all that matters to me.
Pokemon came first, but then Nintendo didn't go after Digimon when it came out and started doing stuff.
Well, it's because they both borrowed from the same concept, so they literally didn't have Crush to be like, oh no, well, we came first. They came really close to each other and both came from similar resources. Like,
Also, Digimon, the
pulled
fucking little monster creatures actually talk to you. Pokemon only fucking
yeah.
say their name over and over and over and over again.
Only in the show. In the video game, they make unique noises.
Oh my god, unique noises? That's still not full
Yeah.
sentences.
Depends on the game.
I
Some
make
of them
unique
talk.
noises too.
Some okay. Some
Ah.
of them talk in the game.
This is
Yeah.
true, but
Sweet.
that's neither here nor there. My point is that
Right.
Pal World is far from the first game to do something vaguely similar to Pokemon. It's just the
I
difference
get what
is
you
that
mean, yeah.
I was just gonna
Digimon
say. I guess I
is
could also argue
older.
for Mystery Dungeon, because that's the Pokemon also talk in that one.
Alright, let's face it, part of it is also that now Game Freak under Nintendo is under a much larger company that can try to squish out competition.
Listen,
I think it's easy to say when they were a small company against another small company, they probably weren't able to throw those kind of fists.
my peak Pokemon experience was with the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. When they first introduced Pokemon Crystal and those little fucking sprite sheets wiggled a little bit, okay? That was mind-blowing animation.
It was.
They actually weren't just PNGs wiggling back and forth representing attacks. They literally had a little startup little animation of like little jitters and other little movements. That was the peak of Pokemon for me. After that, I have not been paying attention to Pokemon to the level that when I went to do the Smash or Pass Pokemon Edition thing, I didn't realize there was like 1,000 motherfucking Pokemon.
Tell me about it.
I had a similar one where I played Pearl for the longest time, and they had like their little like start animation,
I
and they were
also
just like
played Pearl.
solid. They just didn't animate it all past that, and then Pokemon Black and White came out, and I remember playing it for the first time, like, all right, cool, Pokemon fight, and the motherfucker had an idle animation. I was sitting there doing a pog face, like, oh! Whoa!
See, that was peak Pokemon. That was peak
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I still fucking love Pokemon Pearl, and y'all can fight me on that.
Oh, I
It was
wanna
my
replay
first
it so
Pokemon.
I
bad.
love Pokemon Crystal. That shit's even older.
We can both
And the-
love our older Pokemon games. Yay!
I still have Pokemon Silver, Gold, Red, Yellow, Blue,
And
Silver.
before you
Oh
ate
no, I already
so
said
many
Silver,
of those.
Crystal. But I need to replace all the batteries in them because haha, they're cartridges and they use a little like flat battery, like a like
Coin
I
cell.
don't know, yeah, a coin cell thing to keep the memory. So was all the memory
fire
wiped
red
on all
table?
of my games? Absolutely. Did I give a shit? No, I played my original Game Boy that I got way back when it first came out. Yeah, I'm old. And they still work.
I wish I could play my own Pokemon games, but the battery pack in my DS exploded.
Mhm.
Pokemon Red was so funny because those colored ones, the red, blue, and yellow, they were on a Game Boy that was black and white pretty much. So when Game Boy Color got introduced and people actually wanted to play those games on the Game Boy Color, depending on the game was what color you would be playing it in.
Very
I-
much.
I am so happy that I got a new Game Boy SP last year, and I was finally able to play my Game Boy games that I had as a kid, because my original Game Boy was killed because my cat sat on it and broke the screen.
Aw.
Oh,
See, I
Um,
still have a lime green and a see-through purple Game Boy Color from the
Mm.
day they were introduced when I was a little kid, and that was like the peak portable game console back then.
Mhm. I got the one that
I
I
even have
got
the
is
Game
a
Shark.
the one that I got recently was like the metallic blue Game Boy SP, which is the exact same color that I had as a kid.
Oh,
So I still have somewhere, but the first handheld gaming thing I got was for Christmas when I was 7 or 8. I wanted nothing more than a Nintendo DS and Nintendogs. It is all I talked about for months. And I didn't think I was gonna get it. And my parents actually, with help from my grandparents, got me a pretty shiny blue Nintendo DS, the original Nintendo DS, that came with a special edition of Nintendogs because it was a bundle. And that is to this day one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten, just because I didn't think I was gonna get it. I didn't think that I
Lily.
would get that.
I have one thing that apparently not a lot of people have for the Game Boy consoles. I have
Yeah.
the original trading cables that actually adapt from the Game Boy Fat to a color or a Slim or Pocket or whatever they called it. I think it was Pocket. And they can also link to each other, like color to color. And that cable still works to this day. I tested it. Also, it's purple, and I love it because it's pretty.
The top screen of that DS, I used it so much that the top screen broke. But I refuse to part with that DS, even though it doesn't work, because it has so many memories attached to it.
Exactly. That's why I hung on my Game Boy Color. I'm like, this is my first ever handheld console, and I got it when it first came out when I was a little kid. This is my childhood right here. Sneaking, like, hiding under the blankets, playing my Game Boy with a flashlight because we didn't have no fucking lights for them. They didn't have light up backgrounds.
I spent so
And our
much
parents
time
yelling
in
at us when they
Nintendo.
discovered what we were doing.
I spent so much time playing Nintendogs and Animal Crossing and Pokemon, and these are good
I still have
memories.
like an old Nintendo, like the OG and multiple versions of Sega Genesis.
I love.
I also have an
my-
Atari. Oh god, I am really old.
I have a PlayStation 1 somewhere in my house.
Rip for being old. Damn.
And after the Nintendo, I also got I graduated from that to a Game Boy, and from a Game Boy to a Wii, and then that's kind of where the console gaming died.
See, I never bought a Wii, because I just didn't like them.
We did.
I did have every version of the Xbox and PlayStation all the way up until they released the recent consoles. Because I still
Including
had
one?
Xbox. So I owned a PS4 a long while ago, and then I sold it because I was like, I don't use this thing enough. Like, ever. And I didn't ever want to buy a PS5 because I had a gaming computer at the time. So it's like, what the fuck do I need that for? And I actually kept. This is mostly because of memory's sake. I have an old 120 gig Xbox 360 Elite with the wireless adapter that I bought when I was fresh out of the military, like just got home. First thing I bought was a brand new Xbox 360 Elite back then, and I'm hanging on to it because it was a good memory.
Yeah,
It
I
still
get
works
that.
too. No red rings, none of that shit. And yeah, the Xbox One, I ended up having that, and then I traded it for a whole car. So,
Oh damn. That's
First
one
of all,
hell of a trade.
Binary is apparently coming over to play games. I don't know to which person he's coming over, but probably Shy.
I also have the PlayStation. Well, these are at my parents' place because I didn't take them all with me because I didn't know what I was going to do with a stockpile of consoles. But at my parents' place, I also have an original PlayStation 2 Fat with the internet adapter on it. An actual unit that we had to attach to the back of this console, and yes, we got to listen to the wonderful noise of dial-up connection on that fucking adapter. Isn't that exciting? We got to listen to the dial-up sound.
Hurting me in the old Shy.
I am so old. I'm so old, and I took care of everything I've ever gotten console-wise. So every single thing I just talked about all works. They all have working controllers. All of the consoles work. All of the games still work. Also, Nintendo. Man, I sure loved trying to get those things to work. Blow in the cartridge. Maybe smack it a little bit. Click it a few hundred times. Mash the reset button.
Yeah, the percussive maintenance era.
Maybe smack it on the side a little bit. Who knows? We'll get it to work eventually. I want to play
treated
Mario.
My consoles nicely, and they still died. So, all right. I only came in here to explain the.
Good for
Palworld
you,
thing.
Grandma. Listen, a lot of these consoles were hand-me-downs from my older cousins.
I would do it too. All right.
So I only got lucky because of that.
Bye,
See you later,
Lily.
Lily. I'm
Good
so glad we
seeing
got to
you.
go down memory lane of old bullshit that only we would understand.
You're
I forgot. Remember when the way to like fight off your competition was to just outperform them instead of trying to clog them in legal issues or copyright everything you do, so there's no
Yeah.
competition ever?
games got so
Games
good
were
back
cooler.
then because
Yeah.
of that. It was like competition instead of I'm gonna sue you for this and sue you for that just so you
Yeah.
can't outdo us. Fuck you.
Just outperform. Like the PlayStation 2 era of video games, I think is peak.
Oh, that was a huge competition. The
Yeah.
Xbox versus PlayStation 2 stuff,
Not even that, just
like
like
the Xbox 360 versus
yeah.
the PlayStation 2, that shit went hard.
It was just not even that, but like the inner, each console in their own little sphere, right? There were all these companies trying to outperform each other, and the games that came out were fucking amazing.
Or was it PlayStation 3? I think it was like regular Xbox came out when PlayStation 2 was around. So it might have been that.
I had a PlayStation 2, so I didn't have the
then
Xbox experience, but I'm sure they were just as cool.
I had Sliss, you're a
Hi.
Halo fan.
I
Man,
love Halo.
the
I sure
first
do.
day when I had my Xbox and the brand new copy of Halo that just came out, starting that shit up, having my friends over, dope. Can't beat that. It was
You can't
fun.
tell, but I'm doing the finger thing. We should do Halo together.
I got really upset as a kid because all of my friends were playing Halo and stuff, and I really wanted to play with them. But my dad's like, "No, you're not allowed to have an Xbox. Xbox is forbidden in this household because we don't like Microsoft." And so I was never able to play.
Wild.
I was never
Wow.
able to play Halo.
We don't like
This-
Microsoft. Looks over at the computer.
The sins of the
Aw.
father.
I mean, Apple was
We-
still a bit more competitively priced back then, so maybe
I remember
they
when
were
people were trying to run Linux like as a Windows competitor back then, and then like most people are like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with Microsoft. It's way easier to understand."
We
Remember all the
don't
people-
like
think it's very
Microsoft, but we
tolerant.
hate Apple more, so we're allowed to have Windows computers.
Do you remember all the people trying to like mod their Xbox 360? Like bring it to their
I had
computer,
one.
put a bunch of mods in it.
I have one. You talking about the funny broken ones?
I think so.
Oh, here's a term. When my PSP, when it went out, when they stopped making games and everything was like super hard to find, I jailbroke it.
Oh,
I,
I forgot about jailbreaking things.
Yeah. The funny part is me being the nerd I am, I jailbroke it and then rewrote code to be able to copy any game onto my little SD card, and then found out later on that they made an update for that, and I was so fucking upset because I already did it.
My first phone I jailbroke. Back when we had to go to iTunes and like listen to music
ISO
through that, and you
files.
couldn't. Yeah, and you couldn't just like listen to YouTube regularly. So I just had a shit ton of music on my phone. It's like when I was in middle school.
Dude, I think when we were fucking kids and we had like portable little music devices and shit. I say portable music devices because there's all kinds of. Naming them all
There's a
would
lot,
take us
yeah.
forever. Did any kid ever pay for music to put on those? I don't think so.
I paid for 3 songs, and then I was like, "This is
Wow.
dumb." And I asked my friend who jailbroke their phone if he could do it for me, and we did it in the middle of class in the computer
We
lab.
used turret sites, right? Turret sites.
Torrent?
Yeah.
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 All the music
Back
on
when
my
those were
iPod was
cool.
burnt from discs.
Yeah.
They were
So
cool.
We'd buy like the gems in video games and or in the phone games and shit, so we didn't have to wait for things. We could just play them.
See, I only bought one type of music stuff when I had a CD player. I'd buy CDs. That was pretty much it. But if it was like songs on the internet and I didn't know where, and they don't have a CD of it, I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna just put that on there. There we go. Now I had the song.
I was just a little dude at this point. This is before I had morals. So I was just like, "Oh, jailbroke it. I could have anything, whenever."
I was
You
so
remember
pissed.
holding your Walkman on the school bus just the right way so it wouldn't skip? Do you remember anti-skip CD players that were like portable and they still skipped?
I don't have a Walkman. I do have a Discman though.
You know
Which-
what never did skip? My good old fashioned cassette player Walkman. That was waterproof actually. You put the cassette tape in it and then you closed it and locked it and it was watertight. So if you walked or fell in the water, you wouldn't damage the actual the cassette player. And it was yellow. It looked kind of like the old Nokia phones, the yellow and black ones that were like indestructible. It looked kind of like those.
I know binary, but the that's just what my dad had because that's what his parents got him. But we still
That's
got it.
wild, dude. Man, I remember one of the CDs that I ended up finding was Daft Punk. And I was like, this sounds interesting. And then, oh my god, to this day, I will go back and just reminisce on those songs and just listen to them once in a while.
My very first CD was Skrillex, Bangarang.
Oh my god, Bangarang! Awesome.
Yeah. Bought it
Mine
from
was-
Kmart for $10.
I gotta find it. Give me a second to like look up what a Rise Against albums. That was my first CD. Do y'all remember VHS tapes and like the? Do you
Yeah.
guys ever hold on? Do you guys ever fuck
Don't
with
forget
it?
to rewind the tape after you're done
Yeah,
watching
you had to
it.
rewind it.
Forgets.
Did you guys ever struggle with the fucking tape coming out? Like something fucked up in the player, and the tape would come out, and the whole thing would just be
It got
fucked 'cause you had
caught?
to sit there. Yeah, you had
Yeah,
to sit there and
I
play
had
with
that
it.
one.
That sucked.
That tape was never the
Speaking-
same.
No.
Speaking of VHS tapes, Shay, you know that GIF I sent you with the person putting the disc into the VHS recorder?
Yeah.
That's how our VHS recorder died. I tried to put the Wiggles into it.
My disappointment.
Appeal to Reason by Rise Against was my first album that I bought.
Oh my god, Blockbuster, dude! I remember
Wasn't
when
I miss Blockbuster.
you know what I missed as a kid? Arcades. Like they were
Yeah.
everywhere. Arcades were
Mhm.
everywhere, and if our parents didn't want to deal with us because we didn't have to worry about all the fucking dangerous bullshit back then in our small towns, they would just give us a whole roll of quarters and go wild and have us just walk down to the arcade.
And games were cheap, and you would be there forever. I've been to a single
Yeah.
arcade that still runs like that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
That
It
shit
was like
was
$1.50
so
to go
fun.
play their laser tag. This shit was awesome.
I freaking loved arcades. I don't know why, I don't know why I like them so. I think it's just because there was so many games you could play in there, and they were full of lights and sounds, and there was always a lot of people in there, and you could always have some random person be like, "Hey, you want to play this game together?" And it's like, "Oh hell yeah!" Because like, no one gave a shit back then. Everybody would just play games with each other. I wish it was like that still, but now people are more assholey. I miss those days. The old days of riding our bicycles down to an arcade. Because we didn't have cars. We weren't old enough.
Oh, I did never learn how to ride a bike. That was one thing that like I remember
Oh, I got
my
really
folks
good at it.
like one Christmas was like, "Hey, Sliss, do you want a bike?" And I'm like, "No, I'm okay," because I just didn't have an interest in riding a bike.
Oh,
And they're
I
like,
did.
"Oh."
I got the little 20-inch BMX bikes, little 20-inch rim BMX bikes. And we would be jumping them off of staircases, grinding off rails, jumping over fucking cliff faces, jumping them off a 20-foot tall cliff into the water. Great times.
As a kid, I just really liked running, so I just like ran
Our
everywhere.
judgment for danger was pretty low as a kid. You know how many times I bent a rim? It's too many times that we ended up investing in double reinforced wall rims. Also, I will never respoke a rim ever in my fucking life. That shit took so long to individually unscrew and screw all of those fucking screws back onto a metal rod holding my rim together. Because if you messed up the pattern, you got to do it again. Fun. Also, I hated mountain bikes because the rims bent off of like everything. You'd ride down a hill wrong, and then the rim turned taco on you.
I had a speedometer on my mountain bike, and we had like a wheel day at school, and there was like this pretty steep path, and like I was like, "Hey guys, check this out! Check how fast I can go!" And I went past someone, and I'm like, "Doing 50," and I hit a fucking pothole and double somersaulted off the bike, and like right in front of this teacher, and the teacher's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and I look over at my bike, and I'm like, "My bike is broken," and he's like, "No, it's okay," and he like sandwiches the wheel between his legs, and he just bends the bar or the handles back into place. I'm like, "Oh,
I love that. I loved how that's how we repaired our bikes. Ah, my handlebars are off. Just let me just hold this right here and eat. Good as new."
No,
Technology was so simple back then.
I wish as a kid I had gotten those little like kid vehicle ones, the like electric powered little cars that you could get for your kid. I wish I had
know.
one of
I
those.
have story.
Oh, please do, because I've got one as well, but my buddy who had one.
So, me and my brother's group of friends, we saw somebody throwing out 4 of these little Power Wheels, right?
Uh-oh, yeah.
And me being the only actual technical nerd back then, I pulled all the electric motors out of them because we didn't have batteries and none of them even worked. And we had this ingenious idea as a kid of going, hey, you know that steep hill? Let's go race them down the steep hill with no brakes on plastic wheels. That's the greatest idea ever. And we got pulled over by a cop.
Oh.
So my mom walked out the door and she's like, my best memory is when you guys were sitting there in a line in these little Barbie Jeeps with a police officer behind you with their lights on, and you're just kids, and we had to go over there and say, what happened? They were racing it down the street, and my mom goes, you mean the empty street that there's no cars on and no one drives on this street? And the cop, I remember the cop, he goes, listen, I don't want to be here. The old man on this corner over here called the cops, so we had to show up because he was crying about them going down the street, which is the same old man who complained that we were sitting on the sidewalk on our skateboards. That's right, not riding them on the sidewalk, sitting on them on the sidewalk. He called the cops on us for that. Because he was a cranky old man.
Wow.
And he also had like the nicest yard out of the entire neighborhood. I swear to God, he loved his yard more than he loved his wife.
All these people are like, oh man, kids don't go outside anymore, and then proceeded to make an anti-fun culture for anyone under the age of 18.
Yeah.
We had two or three, I can't remember, of those little like electric kid car things. And we would get, because one of our buddies had just a shit ton of like airsoft guns, and we would all wear iPro and just drive up and down the street shooting at each other.
Oh my God. See,
yeah.
that was illegal as fuck. We couldn't do that. We couldn't have
yeah, I'm
paintball
sure.
guns or anything like that. But the
That
fact
was
that
wild.
I remembered. See, this is why I said I forget everything, but I remember the stupidest shit. We had one of the Barbie Jeeps actually have one wheel stopping power. And what I mean by that is we had a piece of string tied to the vehicle with a screwdriver on the end of it that we would toss into the wheel so it would stop it. And that's how we stopped.
That's so scuffed.
Hi, Nikki. But we were kids. We didn't have any fancy technologies and shit to work with. We were like, hey, see that string? See that screwdriver? Throw it on there. Brakes. Let's go.
Before I had my little mountain bike thing, I only had a little Razor scooter, and
Oh my god, you had
behind
a
our house,
Razor scooter.
yeah, behind our house we had like a little park area, and my friends and I would used to ride our bikes. But then there's like this really deep area where that's like around like one of those water drain area things that had a cobbled path. And my friends were riding their bikes down there. I'm like, what if I went to the top of this hill, got some speed, and then drove my
No
Razor scooter
shoes.
down the cobbled path? Well, the answer
Oh.
was, I learned about inertia.
Oh my god.
The scooter went
what
to
were
a
the,
stop,
what were
and
those
I went
shoes?
to a throat.
What were those shoes? Heelys. Heelys.
Oh, I always wanted
The ones with the
Heelys.
little wheels on them. We in school notorious for just using Heelys in school. Also, we had the little my mom spoiled us one year and got me and my brother electric pocket bikes. Not the small Razor one. We had the bigger version. And we used to go all the way out in the country on a nice little long trip. And by the time the battery died out in the country, it was all downhill from there all the way to our house. So we just rode these shits all the way down, racing, going who the fuck knows how fast. Because we had the, what the fuck are those? The freewheels. So when the motor wasn't putting any power to it, it would just sit there and free spin. So we were hauling ass. And as kids, obviously that was dangerous, but we didn't care because we were going home. And I installed lights and shit on it to make sure people saw it at night. And then they got impounded by the cops, and my mom yelled at them so hard they gave them back. You do not
I
make
don't
a
wanna
mother
hydrate or
angry.
stretch.
So thank you for the follows. I hope you guys are enjoying our reminiscing of the old times.
I miss
Oh.
being invulnerable as a child.
I don't
I
want to drink
know,
water
right?
or stretch. What if I don't want to?
Sliss,
What?
I had this wonderful idea as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw my electric pocket bike, and the batteries were finally to the point where they were degraded and didn't work. Well, I took the batteries out, and I looked at my stepdad, and I'm like, can I have the weed whacker? And he's like,
No.
why? I was like, I want to put that gasoline engine on my pocket bike. And he goes, you show me your report card and your grades, and I'll think about it. So I was like all excited, motivated, did great in fucking school, made sure I
The
had
typical
really good
response.
marks.
The typical response of, "Oh fuck no, I don't want you to do this, but if you work hard for it, sure, why not?"
Yeah, and then I gave him the report card, and he goes, "You know what? I'm gonna buy a new one anyway, so go ahead." And I gasoline motorized my fucking electric pocket bike, and I was only 12 years old.
You know what? V8 swaps your Tesla.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Rogue has arrived
Hello, Rogue.
I've come.
already.
Yeah?
Damn.
Damn, that was fast.
You do it on Friday nights too? You got a schedule as well? It's wild.
Listen, you gotta stick to the schedule or else things get irregular.
Things get a little quirky.
I wasn't ready for that.
The schedule comment.
No, I do. No, the binary's fucking response to the schedule comment of it'll be irregular, and I was right in the middle of vaping, so I just kind of choked on it. Also, you are in the chat, Sliss, so you have to stretch and you have to hydrate.
Oh,
It's the rule.
it's the rules.
It's the
Rules.
rules. Rules
Ow.
need to be followed.
Ow.
Oh,
I
my
really
head.
gotta see something about my fucking shoulder.
My shoulder's finally starting to feel better. It only took like 2.5 weeks, but you know,
Take a sip of water.
that's what happens when you pull a tendon and you pinch a nerve. Do I feel froggy enough to go ride my motorcycle right now? No. I'm gonna wait until it's fully healed, and then I'll go ride the motorcycle. Also, Amp, the battery still works on the bike, so I don't have to buy a new one. Hooray!
Yippee.
Yippee!
Yep.
Oh, that's what Amp actually said.
When the neighbor got a one of those little kiddie dirt bikes, and that like
Oh,
I
I
just got
remember
so
those.
zealous over it.
Zealous?
I was so determined to get a bike, but my mum, being an ex motocross rider, she's like, no, you're not doing that. And I'm like, but why? But why? He's got one. Because it's dangerous. And I'm like,
Oh my god. And me over
It's
here,
like-
my grandfather hands me a 12 horsepower racing lawnmower capable of 60 miles per hour. And
Racing
went,
lawnmower.
go for it. Yes. Listen, we lived out in the country. We had
Oh, are you
nothing
way the
better to
fuck out
do.
there where they just modify lawnmowers to actually race each other?
I lived in the furthest part, like, at that age, I was in New York, in the most northernest middle section of bumfuck nowhere,
Got
in
you.
a town that had a whopping population. And I mean, oh wait, my bad. It wasn't a town. It was a village
Cool.
of a whole bunch of people. And by a whole bunch, I mean 1,900 people lived there.
That's so many people.
I know, right? And horse and buggy was a normal thing. And we had one of the two only functioning dummy lights in the world, apparently. The other one was like, all the rest were in museums, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was just a stupid light sitting on a fucking piece of cement. I didn't know there was history behind it. That's why they keep fixing the damn thing. But yeah, that town was so old that the original road underneath it was brick. And what was before that was not even brick. It was just dirt and strip malls for people to actually go shopping on their horse and buggy. That's how old our town was.
Wild.
My parents' house is over 100-something years old.
It'd be nice to live out there.
Literally, all it is, mountains and trees, a river, more mountains, more trees. It always smelt nice. Like, the air always smelt great there because you always had tree smell.
Yes.
And
Tree
yes, tree smell. And there was just like these rivers that just ran through everywhere. We literally lived down the street from a river. Like, you could hop out of the house, walk down the road, go swimming at the river. So our childhood was we lived in bumfuck nowhere, farmlands everywhere, and people got creative, especially my grandfather. He got very creative, and he built this whole custom lawnmower with a proper steering box in it for high-speed use, and went, 30 miles an hour isn't fast enough. I'm going to add a second gear. 60 miles an hour is just fine for this little thing. That thing ripped, dude. That also could do a wheelie, and that was really funny. So yes, we had racing lawnmowers, and we used to drive them in the country all the time because there was no cops. So you would see 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, lawnmowers, and anything in between driving out in the country, and they were all usually kids. Hi, Volpus. It was very entertaining when I was a kid. Also, it had a clutch. It was an actual manual.
Emmanuel.
It was a manual.
Emmanuel.
I remember my grandfather when I turned 16 and I got my permit. He goes, "Hey,
Oh my god,
Shy."
they're here.
He was like, "Hey, Shy." I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "You got your permit, right?" "Yeah." He's like, "You want to start practicing driving?" I was like, "Of course. What are we gonna use? Like your truck?" And he's like, "No, we're gonna use my Jaguar." His
Oh my god.
1988 Jaguar. That was the first car I ever
Oh.
drove. And it was like a burgundy color with tan interior. And I'm just sitting there, when I got in the car, I was like, is this a rich person car? Why does this look so rich? There's so much shit in here. Because he never
Right.
let anyone drive it. I was the first and only person he let drive that car. That's also why I miss my grandfather a lot.
I learned to drive manual.
Oh,
in
he
the
sounds
MX-5
like an
because
awesome
my dad's
dude.
like, if you're gonna learn to drive manual, you ain't getting all the fancy pants like assist and stuff. You're learning to drive in a manual. I'm like, oh.
Yes.
And so I learned in about a week, and then I had to go and get my car service. And he's like, okay, now you got to drive to across the or Adelaide all on your own. Have fun. I almost broke
boy.
into tears because I kept on stalling at a stoplight, and people were getting angry at me.
Aww.
Oh.
See, I picked up a manual car really fucking fast. It was mostly because all of my 4-wheelers and dirt bikes that we ended up having throughout the years from the farm were all manual. So it was like same concept, except the clutch is not hand operated, it's foot operated. Same with the gas. It's now foot operated. So I just applied that logic to it and it worked.
Yeah. The bit that stalled me from going from the MX-5 to the Mazda 2 is the Mazda 2 has a really short first gear, super short, and it was catching me out, for some reason. But yeah, I learned how to properly drive in about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I only stall like maybe once every like 2 or 3 months now. But yeah. Yeah, going from smart car to or to a manual was scary for a bit.
It is.
Yeah.
scary. The first car, I'm sorry, unfortunately, the first truck I drove was the massive, like, street trucks that no one takes out to go do truck things with out here. It was one of my friend's trucks, and it was terrifying because I couldn't see shit around me because
the
that truck was so
pavement
fucking big.
princesses.
Yeah. I mean, he
They
used
look
to. Okay.
super nice. Not a speck of dirt on them. Probably chrome wheels.
He used to
Probably
live.
lifted pretty high.
I don't remember how lifted it was. He used to live out in the middle of nowhere where having a truck like that was necessary, but he doesn't live there anymore, and he just kept the truck. So I don't really like. That'd be like my one exception to it, right?
Yeah,
Be like, you know, why get rid of the vehicle if it still works?
exactly.
But yeah, that was so much fun. And then he wanted me to park somewhere, and I parked, and he said, "Great, now pull out, do it backwards." And I was so mad at him.
See,
It was an older truck with no camera, so I would just pray that I wouldn't put a dent in his fucking truck.
at least you weren't like 13 years old sitting in a F-350 farm duty dually pulling 2 hay trailers all by
Yeah.
yourself down the road, and
That
then having
is-
to make sure you knew how to drive that shit around the farm and park them correctly. I was literally like, you're telling me the person who's been only driving the tractors all this time since I was like 7 years old, that you want me to take that big ass truck with those 2 trailers on it and take it to the farm and park it in the back? Yep.
Yeah.
I'll try my best. If I break the truck, that's not my fault. Luckily for me, it worked really well. He pointed out, all right, this is the gear you want. You wanted to put it in all-wheel drive because the load is heavy, and you want it in, like, he explained all the little things. And my little fucking kid brain just sitting there, like, on a thing to make me sit higher so I could reach and see. It was still very hard to see. I was like, I can't tell if there's road over this hood. There's just a hood here. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, I had that too with the truck. So high up, and it had a giant engine in the front of it. I don't remember what the fuck he put in it. But
The farm duty
couldn't-
is a diesel truck.
I think his was a diesel. I couldn't see shit out the front of the thing.
Yeah,
If there was, the meme of like, oh, you can't see a small child if it runs in front of the truck, is 100% true. I would have never fucking known if something was directly in front of the truck.
that's the farm duty truck. Except it wasn't lifted other than the factory lift that it had. It also looked like a frickin', it had a power stance. The nose was down low, the rear end was high, it had a 5th wheel on it, and a big heavy duty fucking
Jeez.
hitch on it. Because it was meant for, that's literally what it was named. It was actually called farm duty, and it was a Ford. It was a Ford Power Stroke, I think it was.
His had this massive, like, cast iron bumper on the front of it. He called it a Bambi Basher. I can't remember
A
what the
Bambi
fuck-
Basher?
Yeah, he called it a Bambi
Basher
Basher.
is wild. What the fuck?
We usually call those brush guards, but call it Bambi Basher,
Well, here we have Rubusters. So
Rubusters? That's crazy.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Me being like freaking 7 all the way up to like 12 years old, driving these big ass tractors was like a dream come true to me as a kid, because you always look at them and you're like, oh, it would be so cool to drive one of those. Because I don't know why we would think those things are fascinating. They're slow as fuck. They're not very entertaining to drive, but man, when you're a kid, that's the pinnacle of fun right there. Driving this big ass tractor. 20 whole miles an hour. Woo!
yeah, but
I actually missed
feel
working
like-
on the farm.
feel like driving forklifts. You can have so much fun on a forklift. They're slow, but they're fun.
Oh, dude, my experience as a forklift operator, I have video recordings of my fun times. And one of them is a video that I recorded of what I do to people's forklifts when they park in front of my fucking loading door. Because the electric forklift I drove was much heavier and could lift a much bigger load than the little propanes that we had. So the person pulled the key out of their forklift, which you weren't supposed to do in the first place. That's actually one of the rules that we have for receiving. And they had it parked right in the doorway. And the customer was sitting there, and he's like, can't you use that forklift? And I'm like, nope, they took the key out. And he's like, well, what the fuck? And I'm like, hold on, I'll be right back. Door opens. I put my forklift under it because luckily they parked it sideways. I picked their forklift up and I said, hold on a second. And I drove it all the way to the end of the yard, dropped it down, came back, and the customer just looked at me and goes, that's one way to handle it. He's like, here's what I need though.
That's
Oh
funny,
my
just-
god, it's the person coming back like, where's my forklift? It's like, oh, you parked it in front of my door. I warned people not to park their forklifts in front of my fucking door. I'm serious.
I used to do something similar when I worked at SeaWorld, where
Yeah.
one of the places was like, oh, put your carts here, right? And there's like signs everywhere that says like put your strollers and shit in a specific spot. And it would be I would put it the farthest away they put the further they put the stroller away determines how far away from the main area I'm gonna park it, because there's like the main area and then there's like an overflow. And there would always just be like a ton of carts in the overflow and nothing in the area. And that's just how I entertained myself doing something similar.
I need
People
to
were mad a
find.
lot.
I need to find the picture of when I was leaving when I was leaving the job. My boss goes, you know, since you're he goes, since you're leaving, if you want to do something reckless with the forklift, because we knew what he meant by that, because it was
Yep.
frowned upon to do burnouts with the forklifts. And he's like, I'll just pretend I didn't see it. And I did a circle burnout until it was like engulfing the forklift in smoke. And when I left, I have a picture of this. It looked like a smiley face, and he fucking died laughing. Because he's like, wow, that's the happiest burnout I've ever fucking seen. So let me get that. I'm gonna get that picture. I'll show my chat too.
Yeah.
We'll just go find it. Because that shit was fucking hilarious. Like, it's legitimately a smiley face.
When under my old management,
There it is.
there was a stack of like potting mix or something that was really, really high. And so my boss told me to he's like, come stand on this pallet. I'm like, okay. And then he just pulls the forklift over, picks me up, puts me up to the stack of potting mix, and then tells me to hold on to two of them, and then forklifts me over to the customer's car, and then drops me on the pallet down to load them in.
You did make a smiley face.
Yes.
What the fuck?
It's a fucking smiley face.
How did you manage this?
I don't know. I was just doing a circle burnout. So I will show chat this because it's fucking hilarious. That's why my boss said it was the happiest fucking burnout he's ever seen.
Oh, question, Shy.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Where are you? Oh,
Where
wait,
are
where
you?
are you? It's
Well, that's odd.
automatic,
Where am
so I
I?
don't know.
I'm not there either.
Oh. Does it only allow 4 people at a time?
Oh,
Well, no, it's been frozen since you started the stream.
Oh, you're right,
I
it is
probably should have
frozen.
said something because
Oh, thanks for telling me.
Oh,
Oh,
hey, try the thing's frozen.
Oh, wow, thanks.
every
No problem.
time I
bestie.
remembered to tell you you were in a conversation, and I didn't want to interrupt because I don't like interrupting people talking.
Okay, I'm so glad you guys were frozen the whole time. Well, hold on. Let me get this image displayed for all of my
And
chat to
hello,
see.
It
Matthew
has been
Murphy,
eating away
Martin.
from me because I'm subconscious of when my fucking noise suppression stops working, and then it just starts playing every single noise that it can amplify it. I
yeah.
can't see it.
Alright, hold on. Hold on, we got an image here. Okay, here we go. And bam. There's the smiley face that I made as a burnout. It's just, the best part is you can see the tire tracks of the circle that I made to do it. And now I need to find all of your guys' little things, and because that's probably what happened when my screens decided to shit themselves, and I had actually no, when Discord shit itself and I had to restart it.
I still have to take 2 photos with no background, so it can be like my Avi closed mouth, my Avi open mouth, so I can sit there and go "Arp, arp, arp, arp," like Amps does.
Where is
That's literally how I did
friends?
mine too.
Refresh.
Yeah.
Game. Well, I drew my mouth all closed.
All right. All right. Oh,
see, I can't do it
hey,
all.
there you all are. Look at that. You're all fixed.
I live.
We live.
Happy Sick
Yay.
Women's Day. What the fuck? What is this?
The
Yay,
gang's
happy
all
Foster
here.
Happy.
Dude.
You just can barely see that I open my mouth.
Yeah, I'm really gonna take a close-up
Barely.
photo like Am
Because
says.
everybody the more people that join, the smaller and smaller people will get fit in the bottom of the screen.
We need to go
Oh,
and
we
figure
must
out what
overtake the screen.
Yes, we
Kin
must
did
invite the entire
that
Discord
had
server into
the
here.
had you full 3D with her.
That is 300 something members, Sliss.
Yeah, it'll be funny.
I am not gonna try to have 300 people in
Oh,
a
see, I
single.
wasn't saying
I don't
that.
even think
I
the
was just
call will
saying make
be
these things big enough to cover
capable.
the screen.
The bit rate. We're just gonna get everyone's gonna get a message from Discord saying stop. The bit rate's gonna go crazy.
Look at Amp.
Well,
Look into her autistic eyes.
Not a thought behind them things.
my brand.
My brand.
My brand.
Been a fool.
Okay.
Hi, Maddie.
Ah. Okay, now I can actually see the burnout. While I was
Yeah.
going and downloading a game, it wasn't loading.
Ah, okay. But yeah,
We love to
I don't know
see it.
how I did that. I somehow pulled that off. To this day, I'm just like, that's probably the funniest photo I have in my phone. Just me doing a burnout casually with a forklift on my last day of work. And my boss just staring at it going, what the fuck? Oh man, when we used to pick up snow chunks, snow boulders with our forklifts to move them out of the way of shit. I have a lot of pictures of when I did forklift stuff. Especially the one picture with 40-foot long trusses. That was a scary experience.
What's a truss?
A truss is the top frame section for a house
Oh.
that you would attach your roofing to. It's the inner frame, and then you put down your flat board or whatever the hell you're using up there on top of that, and then you would put like whatever bullshit
Your
you
roofing
need, the
materials.
inner lining, and then you do your shingles and all that other fun shit. Usually, if you go in an attic and your house is one of those houses that have a peak on it, you'll notice the wooden frames in there. Those are trusses. They're in shape of triangles.
And I used to go and do roof repair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ever since I fell off that roof, I've had trust issues.
I am so
I
upset
have
about
actually
this.
fallen off of 3 roofs. It is not
You
fun.
know what? Instead of explaining this, I'm just gonna send send the chat. Yeah, side chat. Oh, and we were talking about big trucks. I forgot. I should show this.
There was this one job that we did that was probably me being the least safe possible, and I think the only reason why I was able to do it as well as I did was because I was on medication that pretty much made me not care.
Those are
I
trusses.
was up on top
This is
of
an
a
idiot.
barn roof.
And this is a really big truck that one of my coworkers owned and built.
I was having to go and pull
Amp, they weren't floor trusses. They're roofing trusses.
I had to go and pull
Truce.
nails out of the roof for my boss to go and replace them with roofing screws. We were about 60 feet up in the air.
Or Amp, you can just look at the picture above. Amp over here Google searching it all when I already posted a picture of it, of what it looks like. Those are
Yo,
40-foot
I
trusses on that forklift, and I'm like apparently the only person who wasn't an idiot and doesn't break the special order trusses. So my boss always had me unload them and load them onto trucks.
Then why don't you speak up, Amp? You're muted, Amp.
I guess you could say that they had trust issues.
Don't steal my fucking joke.
Yeah,
No,
don't
no,
steal
we have to laugh
Binary's
now.
joke.
We have to laugh now. Mia said it louder. Mia said it louder. That means it's their joke now. Ha! That's how it works. Ha! I generally didn't hear you say it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, are we fake laughing at something?
Sorry,
I want to
Pookie.
join in.
The first time Shy brought it up, I said, ever since I fell off that roof, I've had trust issues.
And then Mia tried stealing joke.
I thought you said trust.
No.
Trust.
No, they said trust.
Wordplay funny.
Because I didn't know that we were
Hee
talking
hee,
about
ha
trust,
ha,
so I
hoo
didn't make
hoo.
the correlation. Sorry.
Oh, little FYI about that red truck. Since it was a body lift and a truck lift and an actual suspension lift, he had to do something really interesting with the truck bed. So that truck bed tilts up just so he can fill the truck up with gas. Like a dump truck, pretty much. And those are 42-inch tires? Really big tires.
That
And I forget
that
what
picture
year 50s that truck was.
the picture with like all the wood hanging out of the back of
Yeah,
the
that guy
car.
was an idiot.
I like had a customer at work who he's got a lot of money. He owns a chicken farm, right? And so naturally he has a dual cab Silverado, which probably not so big in America, but like here in Australia, they're fucking oversized. They take up too much space. They cost way too much money. But he has one because he can. And he came into our store to pick up a crap ton of 6-meter lengths of wood. And well, he can't put it on his roof because he might scratch his roof paint. He hangs them out the back, and which was illegal by about a whole 2 meters. And I went like, hey, you can't take that wood out of this park, because if you get pulled over, we're responsible because we let you leave. And he's like, it's fine, I'm only going around the corner. I'm like, you haven't even got a flag on it. He's like, oh, one sec. Goes into his car and pulls out a little black rag and then tapes
Has
that
to
to
be
the end.
red.
And it's like, it's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that
has to-
person
yeah.
right there, they're like, just load that big ass. That is a 6-foot bed. So that bed was only as tall as me. It wasn't even a full 8-foot size bed. And he was putting this big ass lumber in there. And he's just like, it's fine. I'm like, your truck has no suspension. He's like, it's fine. Hits a bump. The truck doesn't even move in the rear at all, except the tires bouncing up and down. And I'm like, that's gonna break. If it didn't break already, it's gonna break. And then the security guard right there, he's just like, what the fuck? I'm like, don't ask me. Customer wanted it. He's like, well, as long as they agreed to do it, and they fucking will send it out. And he was checking the lumber right there in the picture, and he's like, oh, very important. And he grabbed his stapler and the little red flag, and he stapled the little red flag to the end of it.
But like, I just like this guy, multi-fucking million. Like, he has way too much money. He owns a Corvette here, like one of the new ones. He's got one of those as well, but he can't fork out a whole whopping $1 buck to buy a little flag to tie onto the end of it, that timber.
They're stingy with their money until they want something shiny.
What is the flag gonna do?
The
You have
flag
to have-
is you have to have it if something extends out of your bed a certain amount.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
so that people are
safety
aware
issue.
of how far it extends,
Yes.
especially if it's in like dark lighting conditions. Because say you've got like a stick of wood sticking out of the back of your car, and it's nighttime, and you may not see that because it's raised up above your headlight level.
Yeah. I was
Stuff like that.
just gonna say, like, couldn't you just fucking see what's? But if it's dark, you can't see shit. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Also, Sliss,
Hi.
another person driving a truck or an SUV or something that's relatively about the same height as that truck, and it's nighttime, they're not going to see that, and that will cause so much damage to the front end of their truck because it'll be colliding directly with the radiator.
God, you.
So they need to have these flags as a warning. And we had these shiny plastic ones that said Menards all over them, and we just stapled the shit out of them so they didn't go anywhere. I'm like, yeah, you wanted to put this ridiculous amount of lumber on the back of your truck? Fine, I'm gonna put 20 staples in here. The extra staples won't matter at this point. Have fun picking all those out.
Yeah. Ours have little elastic bands around them. But
Yeah,
then,
we
like,
had
a
to
nylon
staple
one.
them because we
Yeah.
don't. It was cheaper for staples, and also fucking people who went into our yard were absolute bona fide idiots. Somebody who showed up with a Corvette and said, "I want 400 pounds of concrete in the back of my Corvette," and I'm just like, I can't load that, right? And he's like, "What do you mean you can't load that? It's a Corvette. If I load that, you can come back at me and say I damaged your Corvette." And he's like, "Fine, let me load him in the back of the Corvette then. It's my work car." I'm like, who uses a Corvette as a
What
work
fucking
car?
I
What's wrong with you people? Somebody
I
showed up
love-
with a Celica? A little
Celicas
tiny
can take a
Celica?
load.
It was the little GTS. It was like the newer one. And they had a little trailer on it, and they're just like, "Yeah, load it up with everything. I use this car for everything." Pulling a trailer, loading it with concrete. I seen this dude at least 30 times in 1 year with this little tiny car loading up more shit than I think that car was built to hold. And then one day, he showed up with something else. And I was like, "Huh, what happened to your Celica?" And he's like, "Oh, the transmission went out. Don't worry, I'm gonna fix it." I'm like, "Oh, gee, I wonder why the transmission went out."
There are so many Celicas where I live because they're commonly used as farm cars because they're really durable and they have a lot of boot space.
Yeah, but this thing was like the newer GTS model, which is really low to the ground and had like no suspension
one.
for the shit he was loading in there.
Yeah.
But he only paid like $1,000 for the car apparently, and he used it forever. So don't blame him if it works.
That's why.
Oh well.
That's why they're farm vehicles, because they're cheap and they work.
I forgot to specify. He showed up in a lovely new truck, and I'm like, "Why didn't you use this?" And he's like, "Oh, because I'm still making payments on this." That was it. That was it. It was under warranty, and he didn't want to damage it. So he just used the little shit car.
I love people, and like when you have to fucking load stuff for people. I had one that got upset because I asked him on his big Silverado. I asked him, "Can you lower the tailgate?" Because I had like a big 20-liter drum of hydrochloric acid, and he's like,
"Oh God,
why?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want to throw a 20-liter drum of acid over something that's above my shoulder height." And he's like, "Oh, just give it here. Your kids are all weak these days." And I'm like,
if I was so weak, why am I the one that had to carry this out for you? Why am I carrying this bottle for you because you were complaining about
I
it,
had
about a sore back?
surgery. Oh yeah, there it is. I had a back injury. I fucked up my arm. Wah wah
Like-
wah. I did this. I did that. I hurt myself. You look fine to me. You
Like,
don't
too
look like
many-
you're in pain.
Too many times I've had people get me to move something that's ridiculously heavy for them, and then they won't even lower their tailgate. I won't touch their tailgate because I don't want to touch their car because that creates liability issues. But the second that I say, can you please lower your tailgate? What, you can't just lift that up? I'm like, why can't you? Oh, I hurt my back. And I'm like, well, maybe you should have lowered your tailgate for yourself.
Yeah. Mia, I love the ones that are like, they'll show up in their little like F-150 or their little tiny, Silverado or whatever 1500, and they're like, yeah, can you take that 3,000-pound pallet of bricks and load it in my truck? Only twice the weight of what the truck is supposed to handle. And as soon as you go up there with a forklift and start setting it down and you watch the truck shrink all the way down to the bottom of its suspension and you lift it back up going, nope. And then they're like, do it anyway. It's like, I'm going to need to have waivers. I need to start having official paperwork for these idiots at this point, because they show up thinking they're just going to take all this weight in the back of their truck. And then when we did load it in there, his truck was scraping, and then he's like, oh no, never mind, I changed my mind, pull that out. So we had to get the forklift tines, pull the tailgate off, reach further up there, try to get the very edge of the pallet to, slide it back to us so we could grab it out of the back of his damn truck, put his tailgate back on, and he's like, I'll come back with a bigger truck or a trailer. Yeah, you should have thought about that before I loaded it. Oh my god, dude. People are so dumb. Oh, and one person we did that for snapped their axle when they were leaving.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
sure they
like,
were
well-
ecstatic about that.
Yep. Sitting in our parking lot, all you heard was bang! And I'm like, oh, that was a bad noise. And he's like, hey, can you guys pull that pallet of brick out of my truck? Yeah, sure. Pulled it out, set it down, and he's looking at the bottom of his truck, and there's just a drive shaft just kind of dangling there.
I'm sure that's fine.
Oh yeah, he had to get it towed. He ended up renting a fucking U-Haul van, and we loaded it into the U-Haul van.
We had a customer do that with their Mitsubishi Triton, like the fucking, I think the transmission blew up and the drive shaft just went bonk on the floor. Like he got
Oh my
double whammy.
goodness.
And we just walked up to him and I just threw the keys to our Navara. I'm like, there you go. I want to go home tonight.
Okay. The worst customer I had, technically, was he showed up with a truck that had no bed cover. And it was scratched the shit. The bed was scratched up to hell. And he yelled at us because the pallet turned a little sideways and put a little dent in the little inner fender section. A little dent that you can take a hammer and pop it back out from the inside. And he's like, you guys damaged my truck. And my boss was listening to this. My GMs were listening to this. They came out. They were expecting like this truck to be like a new truck. Nah, it's this rundown piece of shit that was rusted with a scratch the shit damaged bed. And they looked at him, looked at the little dent, and said, we can't do anything about that because this is not a new truck. And that little dent, when you have a truck bed that's this scratched up and falling apart, we're not paying for damages to your bed. And he tried getting our higher ups, the even higher ups, and we took pictures. And then even the higher ups were like, no, we're not paying for that. That dude just wants a new truck bed. He made such a fucking complaint about that little tiny dent in the little inner fender that he could knock out with a hammer.
Hmm.
His bed was so that, like Mia, it was silver and rusted. That's how badly scratched up that truck bed was. Because he
Yeah.
had no lining on it. First off, if you're gonna own a truck, put a bed liner in it. Even the stupid, shitty plastic one. Just put something in there if you're gonna use it for truck purposes. You know, like they're designed to be used.
No, they'd be too smart. And if we know one thing about working customer service fucking ever, is that people are not smart.
Oh,
Ye-
somebody showed up with a new truck with a painted, like the nice, brand new, painted inner bed, also not having a truck bed liner. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the concrete pallet, and I'm sitting there staring at the bed, and I was like, I'm not putting this pallet in there. And he goes, oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, don't do that yet. And he pulls out like 10 blankets. Okay? Thick ass blankets. And he just lays them on the bed. And he goes, there you go. Sir, are you sure this is going to work? Because if there's a scratch on there, you're going to yell at me. And he's like, if it's scratched after I put all of these blankets down, then that was my fault for asking for such a heavy pallet. He's like, I'm just trying to preserve the bed for now until I get it lined because that shit's expensive. And I'm like, okay. So I just put a pallet of concrete on his millions of blankets that look like he pulled out of his house. I think
sell
it worked.
P-straw at our hardware store, and we have two types. We got the open bale, which is literally just pea straw strapped up with some rope, and it's in a bale. And then there's the compressed bales, which have like a plastic bag around them.
Yep,
And
I'm very familiar with these.
Yep. And so it's $1 less to get them in an open bale. And so when people want to buy 4, well, it's $4 that I could be saving, right? And you get out there and like, hold on, wait a bit, hold that bale in your hands for a second while I put out my bed liners and stuff, because they can't get hay all over their cars, right? And so they
Oh
spend
my
5
fucking
minutes
god.
putting of your time putting these bed linings out. And I had this one that went through all that, and I'm like, okay. And I put it in, and a massive gush of wind just picked up the pea straw and threw it all over the front of their car, like all over the dash, all over the seats, and I just fucking laughed.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff. When you work in businesses like we did, like, well, Mia currently does and what I used to work in, you see the stupidest things. And I mean, the stupidest shit will happen if you work there long enough. And you also see some cool shit, like fucking Dude Bros twin turbocharged supercharged diesel dually that's on airbags, and it's his work truck. It was like one of those like ultimate slam type of vehicles, so it's supposed to be able to rest on its frame. That's how low it can get. And he used it as a work truck. It had a 5th wheel on it. It had a heavy duty freaking trailer hitch on it. It was a dually. It had more power than I could ever imagine, to the point where he couldn't put the hood on his truck, so he just drove it around without a hood. And on the right above, right on his windshield, it says Project Truck. Literally. He announced that it just was a project vehicle. It had panels welded to it. It looked silly as fuck, but god, it looked so cool technically. And it also had semi-trucks, like bolt pattern wheels on it. I don't know what we would call those. You know how many bolts are on the semi-truck wheel, Mia? For those
Isn't it
big
like
ass trucks?
18?
He had this on the little truck.
Yeah.
It was an extended cab 8-foot bed, so it wasn't really that little. But goddamn.
Yeah.
That dude was cool though. He owned his own business. He was a regular. always requested my help because I always loaded everything quickly and efficiently with him, and we always had fun shooting the shit, just passing the time by while we're loading up an entire house package on his truck.
Yeah. I've only
He also
ever
showed up
seen
with the
one.
right equipment.
I've only ever seen one American truck be used for, like, actually used for its purpose here in like the town that I live in, and that's he puts his entire sandblasting unit onto it so that he can take it places and do portable sandblasting, and that's the only one that I've ever seen
An
actually
entire
get used
sandblasting, like a
properly.
whole unit?
A whole sandblasting unit.
How big was that?
Pretty much like the site, like, I think he's got a Ram. I don't know how
Okay.
big the bed is, but I think it's a 2400 by 1200 tray. So, but his whole business
I'm
is
about to go find the
sandblasting.
picture of this truck. Ah, there it is. My god, it looks even more ridiculous revisiting this thing. Let's give you guys an eyeful of this. Oh, my bad. It says under construction. Haha, funny builder guy. That truck was always under construction.
Long.
Oh, and it says underneath it in small print, real trucks are built, not bought. That's fucking excellent. I'm gonna show my chat this one because it's just hilarious to look at this thing every time. Where's that silly little truck? There it is. So, this is the dude's truck. Here, let me just make this bigger for you guys to see. This is the dude's truck. And it was sitting on its frame when he parked it because it's on airbags. And the engine is supercharged and twin turbocharged because it wasn't apparently powerful enough. So he had to make sure it could tow anything and everything.
Motherfuckers pulling buildings.
He cut out all the framing and like all the random parts of the body to make it sit on its frame. Like, he actually spent years building this truck. And I was just like, wait a minute, it's supercharged. And he's like, yeah. And then I saw the engine, I was like, it's turbocharged? And he's like, it's twin turbocharged. And I'm like, why do you have every charging system imaginable on this engine?
You never know.
Greatest truck ever I've ever seen, to be honest. And he always brings in that big ass trailer that was on the back. He even has bigger ones. He has fifth wheel trailers that are even bigger than that he'll bring in with his other truck. Or sometimes that truck. It depends on how he feels that day. But man, he was a cool dude. Like, for a regular, probably my favorite. Because he never yells at you for shit. He was patient because he knew we were busy. And there was a time where he was like, oh my god, I am so fucking sorry about this. Because he showed up and it was like 10:30 and we were closing at 11 that day. And he's like, I am so fucking sorry about this. And I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? And I'm looking at his sheet. I'm like, holy crap. that's a lot of lumber. He's like, yeah, so the job's tomorrow, and they kind of wanted it rushed, so I didn't really have time to stop in earlier because we were working on the payment and everything with the customer. So I was sitting there loading that truck. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning when I got done. And my boss is like, "You're the only one here." I was like, "What, me? I'm the only one left?" And he's like, "Yeah, everyone else went home." I was like, "Okay, guess I'm getting overtime." And he's like, "All right, let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here." And that guy is the only one we would let do that. If anyone else showed up like that, the freaking security guard would be like, "Nah, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow if you want to load all that shit. Because we close in 30 minutes." It was I had a lot of I hated the job to a degree, but I also had a lot of fun times at the job. Working with all the fun people there, driving a forklift, just meeting all these crazy people that drive semi trucks. And yes, they're crazy. Some of them are nuts. I swear to God, I think the driving got to their head and they just went completely nuts. And one of them brought a puppy and put him on the trailer and had the puppy running around, and everybody in the yard stopped what they were doing just to pet the puppy. We're like, we're totally getting paid $12.75 an hour to sit here and pet this dog. It was great. We had a lot of fun. I kind of missed the job. I mean, it was very physically intensive. Unfortunately, I can't get the job again due to my injuries, which stinks because I would love to have that job back. I didn't have to think about shit. I just helped customers load shit into a vehicle. Easy job. Alright, it's 8:30. I need to get my drivers updated because my graphics issues are very annoying and bad, and I've been having screen blink outs and other bad shit happening with my computer. So I'm going to try to get this taken care of. So I'm going to send you guys off to go hang out. Go hang out.
Go harass people.
Oh, is this the new guy I followed? Oh, he's playing the game. I wonder if he remembers me. I wonder if he remembers me. Can I do this? Can I raid this man? Let's see if I can raid this man. Can I raid this man? We're gonna find out.
Let's hope you can raid this man.
It would be great. He's a small streamer. I met him randomly looking for drops for Zenless, and he was great conversation with me. So I had a lovely time. So now I'm going to raid him. So thank you all joining me tonight. I'll be streaming tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. I got computer issues to go take care of so I can get my shit fixed so I could possibly try and play a game without everything blinking out and exploding on me, because that kind of sucked that my stream started with black screening. It was lovely seeing you guys, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Mwah! Good night.
Fox, go Bork.